Welcome, everyone, to the pilot edition to the Patriot Battle Cry podcast with Dylan Hildreth. I am Dylan Hildreth. So, before we get deep into this, the Epstein court documents, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow on Rumble, download the podcast. Got a loaded show for you today here on this beautiful Saturday. Let's dive into the Epstein stuff. So, first and foremost, I want to get this clear. In these document dumps that we have been getting over the last number of days, it's not really implicating anybody. It doesn't mean that they did something. It just means that they were with him at some point in Epstein's life, essentially. This is a nothing burger. But there are some things that I find interesting. You cover something up people want to see. That's always been true. That will always be true. Now, Colin Rugg, he tweeted this here. Just in, a single name is redacted in a list of individuals who gave Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly directed underage girls to have sex with. Who is this person? The redacted name is next to former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. Prince Andrews and Jean-Luc Brunel, and computer scientist Marvin McKinstry. So this redacted name, that's what I wanted. That's the exact one that I want to know. If you want to redact, if that gets redacted, and Prince Andrew couldn't get his name redacted from this, who is it? Who's the one in power? I want to know. Now, there are people out there that are much smarter than I am, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So, Fourth Branch on X, he was able to list out the number of characters using the length of the bar and the text used, and determined that there are 16 characters, which would mean 15 letters because you get the space between the first and last name. So 15 characters in this name. 15 letters. Some would suggest William Clinton, which I don't think it is. I already mentioned him like 50 freaking times in this. Yeah, I saw Jacob Rothschild. A lot of names that can fit. But it's got to be somebody up there, a national security threat, if they're willing to, if they are redacting this name. We need to know who this guy is. I want to know who every single name in that black book is. And one person has that power to unleash everything, bring up charges, actually go through with an investigation on everything. And that is Christopher Wray, the FBI director. HIRSRWRAY. So close. I spelled it right. Either way. But yeah. The FBI has everything. They have the book, they have the videos, they have the photos. They have everything. There is, at this point, no one. Oh, wrong one. There is no investigation. There's nothing. There, other than them fighting to keep as much secret as possible. Almost like what they did with Hunter Biden. RBI. Oh, no, not even close. Not even close. But anyway. So, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. Epstein, as much as the media wants to paint this as he was the ringleader, he was the leader, he was the captain, He was not. He was the puppet. He was a figurehead. There is a much larger thing going on. This is only part of this child trafficking apparatus. Epstein was not the top. He was not the top guy. No way. And before we get into the whole, oh, he was a bank manager, he did this, he was a businessman, he made his money off that, this, that, the other. No. No. From some people who knew him before this, didn't talk like it, didn't sound like it, didn't act like it, did not act like this business mogul that he claimed to make his fortune on. The reality is he was a spy. Him and Ghislaine Maxwell, spies. For the FBI, CIA, MI6, Mossad, you name it. And his sole job was to get blackmail on powerful people. And Epstein's power was manipulation. Now, I'm by no means am I dismissing any of the people who partook in these acts. Horrible people and should die a horrible, painful death. But if you're going to go chop the head off the snake, go for the head of the snake. Epstein's not the head of the snake. And I've heard ever since the court docs came out that Bill Hoover, I think is his name. He's the head of the FBI when back in the 50s, 60s. And he had dirt on everybody. And it seems that practice still continues to this day. And I even heard stories that it was pretty much the same way. Hoover had dirt on Kennedy, Nixon, all the main players in that time period. There is something bigger. This is only the tip of the iceberg. And just like with the Hunter Biden laptop, Deep State did not want you to know about this. And they are fighting like hell to keep this all under wraps. Which is why this is only a civil filing. Why do you think Epstein got parole the first time? Little to no jail time. And all of a sudden ended up dead in a jail cell that he allegedly hung himself with one-ply toilet paper? Right. Okay. Right. And this cover-up, and this is a full-blown cover-up from the United States government. Governments across the world have covered this up. And here's a hot mic moment from Amy Roback of CBS.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts.
ABC.
We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
A full-blown cover-up. A full-blown cover-up. And that was James O'Keefe Media there. The O'Keefe Media Group. There that released, at least that's where I got it from, but nonetheless. This is a full-scale cover-up, and again, she only scratched the surface, the atmosphere of the surface. What she had, and she had a gold mine. And Alan Dershowitz, he was Epstein's lawyer, and he's saying he was some kind of businessman. He went on Piers Morgan. It wasn't Piers Morgan on the show, but one of his fill-ins. And Dershowitz is sitting there playing dumb. Now, number one rule: someone as smart as Alan Dershowitz, you don't get to conveniently play dumb. Dershowitz knew what was going on. He had some inkling of what was going on. You don't get to be conveniently stupid. And he was implicated. I guess his victim said that there was a mistaken identity. Okay. I believe that part. I can believe that part. I don't think Dershowitz actually did anything to the girls. That I believe. But to say that he didn't know anything that was going on, I don't believe that for a moment. Dershowitz is a smart guy. You don't get to be conveniently stupid. And that is what I'm going to say about that. So, moving on to Donald Trump and his him getting thrown off the ballots in Colorado and Maine. Now, the Supreme Court of Colorado, they acted treasonously, I would say. But anyway, they both, Colorado Supreme Court and the Secretary of State in Maine, they used the 14th Amendment, Section 3 of the Constitution, the insurrection clause, to keep him off the ballot. And again, I'm going to ask this to any leftist that might be listening to this. Any leftist wanted to answer this question. Why would the Republicans, the Second Amendment loving, gun toting, they treat their guns like their family, why would they try to overthrow a government unarmed? And that's just one of the arguments that I have against January 6th being an insurrection. We'll completely bypass the fact that the FBI hasn't even called it an insurrection. But, tomato, tomato. But, again, the Colorado Supreme Court, it's an all-Democratic court. All Democrats are justices. And it was 4-3. And you want to start throwing people off the ballot for not even being charged with insurrection. Jack Smith, the special prosecutor that is sent to go after Donald Trump by Joe Biden, levied 91 felonies against Donald Trump. Not a single one of them is insurrection. So, the Supreme Court of Colorado and the Secretary of State in Maine are jumping over his right to due process in order to get him off the ballot. But they're defending the Constitution, right? Okay. And to really show you how dumb the other side is, the leftist, the the liberal content creators that claim to love this country. This is how dumb they really are. Tweet from Paladin, Brooklyn Dad, Defiant, whoever the hell this moron is. He tweeted, "I think the founding fathers didn't get more specific in their wording to specifically say even the president in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, because they didn't think we'd be stupid enough to elect a big traitor as Trump turned out to be." I'm going to hammer that traitor thing in a second, but let me finish mocking him. Or dumb enough, let him run again. Somebody probably suggested it, and James Madison was like, "Nah, that's crazy. It would never happen." Ladies and gentlemen, he's got a picture of the Continental Congress, the Founding Fathers. 14th Amendment was written after the Civil War. All those guys in that photo that he posted were all dead. They were gone. That was over 100 years later. But, facts, right? The Founding Fathers did not write the 14th Amendment of the Constitution because the 14th Amendment of the Constitution was meant for the Confederacy. Make sure that they didn't get back in office. The ones that actually caused a civil war and led to 600,000 Americans dead. Yeah, that one. And on top of the whole, he led an insurrection, blah, 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 blah. What were the last words he said in that speech on January 6th? Protest peacefully and patriotically and make your voices heard. That is not incitement. That is not a insurrectionist battle cry. That is go and protest, make your voice heard that you think that this election was rigged. Now, granted, I don't know how much of the election was rigged. Every election there is fraud. The question is, was there enough to overturn results of the election? Numbers say no, but I don't look at the numbers that are given to me by the mainstream media, by really anyone. As much as they say numbers never lie, numbers can be manipulated. How people act when you levy that kind of charge on them, that is where the truth comes out. When the left in 2016 was saying, "Oh, there was Russian collusion, Donald Trump stole the election, blah, 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 blah," the right sat back and said, "Okay, let's take a look. Let's figure this out." I don't think he did. Let's go figure this out. Now, fast forward 4 years, and the right, he stole the election. He stole the election. And the left, they were, "No, he didn't. He did no such thing. This election was as clean as can be." And let's not throw out the fact that you had the most mail-in ballots in the history of America, in the history of elections. You had several laws changed in waning hours. And we even had ballots set aside to figure out if they were even legal or not. And there was a lot of chaos. Not even throwing in the fact that you were in the midst of, you're at what should have been towards the end of the pandemic. And amidst all of the chaos, all of the hell that was going on election night, the lights went off at 2 in the morning. The Joe Biden numbers. You had Trump, you had Biden going up, and then 2 in the morning hits. Whoop! They continued to go. That was odd. That one made me perk up. Now, questions are to be had. And we'll never get those answers. It's too late to even fight to get those answers at this point. But to suggest that the media was that the election was stolen by the media, I'm all on that. I am with the right 100% on that. It was the media that continued the Trump-Russia collusion hoax for years. Without any evidence. Without no evidence to build upon it. Moscow Maddow on an MSDNC. Oh, we got it. We got it this time. We got it this time. We got it this time. Adam Schiff. We got something. We got something. We got something. And for years, it was a bunch of bull. And how Adam Schiff hasn't been thrown in prison for setting up a coup against the sitting president of the United States is beyond me. He willingly, knowingly lied several occasions to keep that lie going. And then, and on top of that, you had Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, all knowing this was a lie. And they pretty much manufactured it. And the media, just like good little seals, went right along with it. So, to continue on with the Trump targeting, one of his campaign staff, he was targeted. Take a look at this.
That is, I'm not touching it, I'm not picking it up. That's one. Sorry. Let me put on a shirt real quick. Yeah. Hey, can I just get my daughter watching the TV show?
just hang on a second.
So these guys,
that is Harrison Floyd, one of his campaign, someone who works for Donald Trump in the campaign. And 2 FBI officials who did not identify themselves pretty much chased him around like they were trying to rob him, essentially. Here it is.
My mom called me earlier today. She said 2 men showed up, gave her a card. She didn't know if it was real or not, and they said they're trying, they want to talk to me. I took my daughter to the Goldfish swim school.
Yeah.
I came back, and there's these 2 guys who are standing across the street.
They came here, they followed you here?
Yeah, so I'm coming down the side. These 2 guys and Seuss just run at me. I start yelling at one of them, like, who the fuck do you think you are? I haven't seen any guys, you haven't told me anything, I don't know who you are. You're fucking grabbing, touching me. I'm my daughter, who the fuck? And then one of them, who's on the stairs, he goes like this, and he has a pistol in his hand. I never saw a badge.
Yeah.
I saw a fucking gun though. I saw a fucking gun. You would think too, like, I'm like, don't want to talk to you, engage with you, and you're like chasing me. Like, you probably want to like stop, disengage, like, okay, this probably isn't the way, you know, or if you see a guy.
So these FBI agents never identified themselves. They were willing to show a gun, but they never identified themselves. Yeah. And here's the insane part. We go a little bit further here on the timeline. Now, these are the more police.
I did not shut, I didn't touch, I
Now, he's saying he didn't assault them, he didn't touch them, He pretty much just tried to run away from the situation the best that he could. And
to let my lawyer have a further conversation with you guys.
Listen, I am a detective in Montgomery County. Here's my badge. These guys are officers of Rockville City, and this is an FBI agent. I do have an arrest warrant for you right now, okay?
Okay.
and
So,
he has been
here's what I'm
arrested.
hoping you can be-
Ladies and gentlemen, the FBI, once they accomplish their mission of dispatching Trump, they are coming after you. Donald Trump was right about one thing. They're not after me. And he said, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. Stuff like this continues to prove him right on that. And I'll be the first one to admit, yeah, okay. Yeah, right. And then, the more you see this kind of stuff, it's like, shit. They are after us. And they hate the fact that we're free. Have the ability to speak out against this. We have the ability to defend ourselves. You see, the left is hell-bent on stripping away two most important amendments in the Constitution. First and the second. You take away those two rights, they can take over the country, no problem. And they can force you into their way of life, into submission, and be a good little seal. Now, I got a clip from our favorite Biden-loving good little seal, Harry. And Joe Biden's first campaign ad of 2024. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Let's do a little react here.
Wow, so President Biden's campaign just released their first ad of 2024, and it is fantastic. They talk about our democracy, Republicans
Who
trying
gets that excited over a political ad? Like, I love politics, but, like, it's a political ad. Get it through, let me continue watching my show.
take away our right to vote and
Wait,
more.
take
Trust me,
Colorado, Maine.
it's worth a watch. Take a look at it.
I've made the preservation of American democracy the central issue
Wait,
of my
what?
presidency.
I'm like a Tommy gun with a stutter. Try that again.
It's worth a watch. Take a look at it.
I've made the preservation of American democracy the central issue of my presidency. I believe in free and fair elections and the right to vote fairly and have your vote counted. There's
Free
something
and fair elections. Just don't ask questions, right?
dangerous happening in America. There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy.
Yeah, we call those Democrats.
All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our
Throw
democracy?
your ass out of office.
History's watching. The world is watching. And most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. The Vice President and I have supported voting rights since day one of
Unless
this
you vote
administration.
Republican and you want to vote for Donald Trump.
And I ask every American to join me in this cause. America is still a place of possibilities where the power resides with we, the people.
Power does
That's-
not, under your administration, it no longer presides under we the people. It now resides with Swamp. New World Order.
Our soul. We are the United States
Why
of
are you the
America.
most
There
divisive
is
president we've ever had in American history?
nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. I'm Joe Biden, and I
By
approve
act
this
together,
message.
he means shut up and follow directions.
Yeah, wow. When I first saw that, I was blown away. I think that's so incredibly powerful. Look, it's the truth, right? I mean, we have President Biden and Vice President Harris who have made significant strides in protecting and defending our
While
Constitution
trampling over the Constitution to get what you want. But whatever.
also defending our right to vote and pick who our leaders
Those
are.
were
And
horrible choice of words given Colorado and Maine.
Republicans have done the exact opposite. We saw what Donald Trump did on January 6th. We saw him try to overturn the election.
Protest peacefully and patriotically.
We couldn't pick who our president was. And on top of this, Republicans have removed polling places around the country in very specific locations to stop people from voting. The world is watching. Our kids are watching. Our democracy is important and it's worth fighting for. And it's not something to ignore and allow the Republicans to destroy. The fact of the matter is,
aren't destroying democracy. No, we're a constitutional republic.
Democracy is on the ballot in 2024.
Think about that phrase
President
for a
Biden,
ladies and gentlemen. Democracy is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. What the hell? Oh my goodness. If democracy was on the ballot, it wouldn't be on a ballot. Because there wouldn't be a democracy, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm tired of that idiot. Okay. So, now, let's talk about the border crossing a little bit. The invasion at the southern border. Joe Biden has completely ignored the southern border for 3 years now. Has gone out of his way to make sure nothing gets done down there, and it stays wide open. All in the same breath that there's fentanyl coming across the border. Children are being trafficked across the border. And Texas, they've had enough of it and said, okay, you're not going to do it, we're going to do it. And then Joe Biden sues Texas for following federal law that Joe Biden and the Biden administration is breaking. Tens of thousands of people are crossing that border every single day. And there's no way to keep track of them. Here's your court date in 3 years. We'll see you then. No, we won't. They'll be long gone. Somewhere in the United States. And he continues to... He's willing to let Ukraine fall to keep that southern border open. The Republicans even said, okay, we will give you the funding to Ukraine and allow your money laundering scheme to continue. But we need money at the southern border to protect the U.S. citizens, the people that are currently here and pay our salaries. Joe Biden said no. The Democrats said no. Which, because I am the way that I am, I think the most cynical of evil people like Joe Biden and like the Biden administration. And you throw on top of the fact that there are children loaded onto planes come across the border in Florida and Texas and in California. And it's very underreported. I've only seen Tim Pool and the Timcast talk about it. That's a serious problem. And on top of that, you have, as I said earlier, the fentanyl, the drugs, and oddly enough, military-aged men coming across the border. Not a lot of families, not a lot of kids. Not a lot of women. Just military-aged men. And on top of that, the Biden ATF is making it a lot easier for them to acquire guns. That's not comforting. That's a little suspicious. Is Joe Biden planning a revolution against the United States? Sure looks like it. It's definitely concerning. Definitely something you might want to keep an eye on. So the border crossings. Here's the here's the chart for it. For those on listening on podcast, please hang with me for a minute. So with Obama, stays fairly level. Little spikes here and there over the summer. Prototypical. And then Trump goes into office, and he goes straight down. Then you had the caravan come in that popped up. Trump lost his mind, and it went straight back down. And then Joe Biden took office. It has gone up and up and up and up and up and up and up to almost 350,000 people a month. 350,000 over the course of 6 months, I should say. That is an absolute dereliction of duty. That is refusing to do your job. And the one job, and it's really one of the few jobs the federal government actually has laid out for them in the Constitution, is to defend our international borders. Defend the international borders and foreign policy. Those are the main jobs of the federal government. And to make sure that states aren't infringing on the rights of the people. 3 jobs. You had 3 jobs. And you are going out of your way to make sure that not only you don't do that, but you prevent Texas from doing that. That's treason. That is treason, ladies and gentlemen. Going out of your way to break federal law is treason as the President of the United States. And what appears to be mounting a military force of illegal immigrants to do something. I don't know what the plan is, but it is definitely concerning. So, before we get into a little bit more serious news, I want to take a little break, have a little bit of fun. Because we do like to have fun here every once in a while. Now, I know I just ripped on Harry not too long ago about getting all excited over a political ad. Which, I mean, I'm not going to go watch it in an IMAX theater or anything, but this one was kind of funny because it's Trump, and Trump is funny. Here's his campaign ad.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news for their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who will never leave nor forsake them. I need the
That was AOC in there on the wolf. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country. Somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country to be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
The old God made a farmer kind of play off. That was actually pretty good. That was fun. That's where Trump's so good at. He's so good. And really, everything in there is true. He's not wrong. And I know Dash Dope Dork whatever. He was like, he spent like 40% of his time in the office on vacation. So does every politician. And yet, I got that sense that even if he was like on vacation, he's still working. You don't become a millionaire in business by taking vacations and actually using those vacations to relax. There is no relaxing Donald Trump. That is the one thing I will never, ever accuse Donald Trump of, is taking it easy and going on vacation. That's not in his blood. He's a successful billionaire businessman. You don't do that by going on vacation. And quite frankly, because he's not taking the checks being president, he's not taking the payment, the $400,000 a year payments. He can take vacation. Not costing us money. And if it is, it's going to a good cause. Because I don't know if he just rejects it or sends it off to a charity. But either way, the country was better under Donald Trump. So let's talk about something a little bit serious here. So a school in Iowa, there was a shooter, 17-year-old. I believe one was dead, 5 wounded. I don't know if the count's grown at all. But I have had to claw and search the depths of the internet to actually find an article that talks about the actual shooter. Now, shooter, I think his name's been released, but I'm not going to say it here. The shooter was trans. He was a they, them, gender fluid, whatever the heck. Now, I believe it was Sarah Fields. Sarah is censored on X. She is a tremendous reporter. She is... I trust her as much as I trust James O'Keefe. Incredible reporting. The best of the best. And that was where I first saw it, but I was looking for an actual article. I had to go to the Blaze. Nothing on NBC. Nothing on CNN. Nothing on Fox. Nothing here. Nothing there. Not even on the Daily Wire. Now, I believe it's still question on how they actually acquired, how he actually acquired the gun. That I haven't seen anything on. But again, this goes to that trans ideology that is destructive. It is destructive. It leads to self-deletion think 50% of the time, 40 to 50% of the time, after 7 to 10 years of being in that ideology. And as Michael Knowles said about last year, around last year, trans ideology needs to be extinct. It is a harmful ideology that is either killing children or mutilating them. And the more that you play into the delusion, the worse it gets. There cannot be a playing into the delusion. Now, you got the other leftist TikToker, Chris Mowry. He had his thoughts on it.
There's another school shooting today, and this is a reminder to stop debating Republicans on gun control. Just stop. It doesn't matter. Look, Democrats have a host of solutions.
No reason for debate. You're always right?
Universal background checks, all the way up to banning certain types of weapons, banning large capacity magazines, all this
shall
stuff.
not be infringed.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Tell Republicans, look, fine, none of this works. None of it works. You want to keep your guns? Fine. What's your solution? Period.
Okay.
That's what you
want your solution? Here's your solution. Come real close here. Step 1. Open up asylums again. Fund asylums. Get money into mental health. And force people who are suffering from mental illness into those asylums. And they cannot leave until they are good for... They got their chemical balance in their brains correct again. There were signs that he was having a mental break. Probably from I don't know if he was taking any sort of hormones for rainbow cult stuff. But that ideology is extremely self-destructive. And the mental aspect of that cannot be ignored. Now, that is one of a multi-part solution here. So, step 1, open up the asylums. Step 2, armed guards at every single school in America. We have the budget to do it. If we can send 100 and God knows how many billion to Ukraine, we can take some off that. If we can afford 80,000 IRS agents, we can afford a couple officers at school. That have plenty of officers to make sure that the schools stay safe. There's a reason why you don't see Jewish schools getting shot up. They know they are a target, and they treat themselves as such, and they have armed guards at their schools. At the very least, it is a deterrent. Third, I should say. Arm the teachers that are able, willing, and capable. And pay for the training. Use federal dollars on training teachers how to use and operate guns. And make sure they have the proper training to protect themselves and the kids. It's not a hard concept. And lastly, I would say, and this be a part of every single school curriculum, gun safety, gun education. The biggest divide between anti-gun centrists, I should say, or even leftists. I mean, you see it all the time. We're going to take your AR-14, 15, 16s, and 17s. And the AR-15 will put a hole in you that are so big. No. Nope, you're just an uneducated moron. Educate people educate the kids on weapon safety, respecting the guns, and treating them properly, and being able to use, operate, store, and have that get and allow that knowledge to be there. I mean, it's not a tall task. These are simple things that can be done. Most of these are simple things that can be done tomorrow. But the left isn't going to do that. They're not going to bite on that. Because the narrative is more important than children's lives. Their ability to dance on children's graves in order to get your gun is more important than actually protecting the children. That is the reality of the Democrat Party and the Second Amendment in school shootings. That's the part they don't tell you. So, and for those, I'll wrap this up here. The shooter did end up taking his own life. Now, and did end up taking his own life at the end. 5 were wounded, and one 6th grader was unfortunately. And this could have been avoided. I'm sure of it. I don't have all the details on it yet, but there are things that failed, and because it happens every single time. What was broken? What gun law was broken? How do we fix it? How do we get better? How do we fix this? And I gave you those points. So, moving on to a story that is actually very underreported and can lead to very serious global implications, such as World War III. Across the country, several bomb threat hoaxes. Hey, throwback to Harry. Several bomb threat hoaxes were placed across the country. Connecticut, Georgia, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana. This isn't a left versus right. This looks more of a foreign attack, and if you are able to disrupt the government, that is an act of war. This looks like a foreign attack, or at least a foreign test. Looks like they cleared them out, swept the buildings. Some were in session, some were not. And it's hopefully they're able to find who's ever doing this and put an end to it. Trying to look through here. And then swatting is on the rise. The swatting against politicians. See if you notice a trend here. There's actually a trend here. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene swatted on Christmas. Republican Brandon Williams. Republican Senator Rick Scott. Notice the trend? Republican, Republican, Republican. Who's the Republicans' biggest enemy? Democrats. And of course, the Democrats were more than willing. Democratic lunatics are more than willing to use resources and put them to waste. All for a gotcha on the Republicans. It's gotten past the point of insanity, gentlemen. You have the federal government, Joe Biden, the Biden administration, going after his political rival. his staff, his lawyers. You have the FBI covering up Jeffrey Epstein's black book, tapes, photos. You have leading candidate of the Republican Party getting kicked off of ballots, off of primaries. And you have a foreign government on top of that. I don't know if it's a foreign government, but a foreign agent of something has just ran a test run against 20 some odd state capitol building. And bomb threat hoaxes, widely underreported. That may be the most pressing of the news. Which, that in among itself makes me nervous. Because of it being underreported. That is the most serious one of them all. Because that has the ability to set off World War III. Yes, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff is important. Yes, the Donald Trump targeting and throwing off the ballot and staff being targeted. That is important. School shooting, obviously, very important. But the fact that and I have never heard anything like this. And it was apparently sent from via email, Secretaries of State. They have, if this is indeed a foreign attack from a foreign agent, that is an act of war. That is disrupting the government. And they need to be dealt with accordingly. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This was the first edition of the Patriot Battle Cry podcast. Thank you for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all the necessary things to push this out into the algorithm. And we'll see you next time. Patriot Battle Cry podcast.